My name is Hannah Griffing. I am an English teacher at Enlidium Academy, and today I'm going to videotape myself writing an essay. You will be able to look over my shoulder as I go over every part of the writing process on camera and let you watch me. I haven't pre-written anything, so you can actually watch what the process looks like from start to finish. My goal for this video is to help you understand more about what goes into writing an essay, how to read a prompt, outline, write, rewrite, rewrite again, format, use sources, and more. And I'm starting right now. So this is the prompt I'm going to use. I got it from the AP College Board website. It's part of the public domain. And I'm going to read it out for you. The British novelist Fay Weldon offers this observation about happy endings. The writers, I do believe, who get the best and most lasting response from readers are the writers who offer a happy ending through moral development. By happy ending, I do not mean mere fortunate events, a marriage or a last-minute rescue from death, but some kind of spiritual reassessment or moral reconciliation, even with the self, even at death. So this is the quote, and this is the task. Choose a novel that has the kind of ending Weldon describes. In a well-written essay, identify the spiritual or moral reconciliation evident in the ending and explain its significance. A good practice is to read your prompt with a pen in hand. If you're using a word processor on a computer, then copy the prompt into a separate document and highlight the text with the built-in tools. Underline or highlight the important parts and start thinking about how you could structure your essay. So in this prompt, I'm going to start up here and I'm going to see happy endings. This is a prompt about happy endings. And then in the quote, it's giving me specific things to look for. So I'm going to say happy endings through moral development. And moral development is defined as spiritual reassessment or moral reconciliation. Then down here in the instructions, choose a novel that has the kind of ending Weldon describes. In a well-written essay, identify is a key word here, identify the spiritual or moral reconciliation evident in the ending and explain its significance. The novel I'm choosing is The Giver by Lois Lowry. This book has the type of ending described, and it's also one of my favorite books. When you are choosing a topic, it's important to choose a topic that is just right. Not too big and not too small. You don't want a topic so broad that it could be the topic of a book or a series of books. A big topic like this covers a lot of subtopics. That is why it's called an umbrella topic. It's better to choose a subtopic. On the other hand, you don't want a topic so narrow you can't write enough about it. One way to choose a topic is to make an outline in which you show how an umbrella topic breaks into subtopics, which breaks into further subtopics. You can then choose a subtopic that is the right size for your paper. This prompt is already pretty narrow, but when I'm stating my topic, I'm going to make it more specific to this novel. All right, so I'm going to start my outline, and I'm going to start with a Roman numeral, and it's going to be novels with happy endings. So this is the prompt. The next level, I'm choosing the book, The Giver. And then within that, I want to make sure that I put in some levels. So for my first one, I'm going to say there's some moral development. For example, I could say accepting responsibility, taking risks. And then there is reconciliation, And there is a tie between memory and action. And that's thematic. So you can see an outline here. Clearly I know the book pretty well. I'm just using this as an example, and I'm hoping you can follow along even if you don't know every point that I know. So when I'm looking at this outline, I can say the level that I want is not this one, this is too broad. Just the giver is also too broad. So this is where my topic's going to come from, that level. Many students skip this step, which I don't understand, because you're generating ideas to write your essay on. Because I've read The Giver, I'm just going to write down anything and everything I can think up here on the whiteboard. These are the things I'm focusing on: spiritual reassessment or moral reconciliation at the end. So, the main character is taking the baby. So, Gabe, saving Gabe. And there's a thing with a sled. Escape. Memories. Returning to people. Going down to a community versus death, acceptance. So this is just a basic brainstorming list. I'll use the ideas when I'm making my outline. I'll go into more detail with some of them. I might discard some of them, but this is a good place to start for me. I think of a thesis statement as a narrow spout, like this. It decides what does and doesn't go in your essay. It tells you what belongs and what doesn't. It's extremely helpful. However, many students want a thesis statement that will allow anything to belong in their essay. This is how I think about it. A broad thesis statement is like a really big target. Anything you throw at it will stick. So I'm going to throw some things at it. Some big blobs of dirt, I guess. The problem is that you end up with all this white space, which translates into holes in your topic. So you resort to discussing your topic in general terms to cover the holes. And it looks something like this. It kind of works, but it's a very thin layer. And you can see there's still white space. In my experience, this type of essay is not fun to write, and it won't flow well. Now, if you have a narrower topic, you will have to be more careful about what you throw at it. And I'm going to show you. This is my narrower topic, my much, much smaller board. I have to be more careful about what I throw at it because a lot of things are going to land outside of the topic and I just can't use it. You won't be able to add just any information to your essay, but the information that does fit will be more specific and thus more interesting. You will be able to discuss it in a meaningful way and in detail. Now I'm going to look at my topic and my brainstorming to write a thesis statement. I'm going to start by giving the context. In the novel, The Giver, Jonas reaches, not reaches, I'm gonna go with has, I'm gonna use basic language, a happy ending because. The type of thesis statement I'm writing is called an enthymeme. And basically, an enthymeme is a thesis statement with a because clause. And what it allows me to do is to give a clear statement of how this novel meets this prompt, and then give specifics that I will explore in my body paragraphs. So, because he comes he reaches a moral reconciliation as he accepts moral responsibility let's go of other people's memories and slides down the hill to a new beginning or ending. So as you can see, this is not a perfect thesis statement, and that's okay. You have the chance to keep revising your thesis statement as you write your outline and even as you write your paper. You can keep revising your thesis statement until the last stage of the essay. And I'm just going to read this out right now. In the novel The Giver, Jonas has a happy ending because he reaches a moral reconciliation as he accepts responsibility, lets go of other people's memories, and slides down the hill to a new beginning or ending. So I've copied out the thesis here, and one of the things you have to be careful with is that your thesis needs to answer the question that is posed in the prompt. No matter how good it is, if it doesn't answer the question, you could still get a low score. So I'm going to compare what I've written in my thesis to what the prompt was asking me. So I have, in the novel The Giver, Jonas has a happy ending. I'm hitting happy ending right there because he reaches a moral reconciliation. So I have moral reconciliation as he accepts responsibility, lets go of other people's memories, and slides down the hill to a new beginning or ending. So I'm really hitting the happy ending. What I have less of is how it ties in with the rest of the book. So that's going to be something I want to make sure that I do in my outline. This is one of my favorite parts. I decide how the information I have fits together best. And trust me, it will make writing so much easier. Start by identifying which of the ideas you want to write about go together. Then separate them into paragraphs. Make sure everything fits with the other ideas and the thesis statement. Write your topic sentences. It's also important to look back over your thesis once you have finished writing the outline. You might need to revise it. Sometimes it's also easier to write the thesis after roughly outlining your topic. However, you should follow your teacher's instructions in this matter. Once you have developed your outline, make sure you type it up using the formatting required by your teacher. There are usually some picky rules that you need to follow. These rules are there to help you with organizing the essay. So give it a try, and if you are having difficulties, ask for help. So as you can see, I have my brainstorming here, and I'm going to do my outline on that side. And I'm going to start by looking at these ideas and seeing what goes together and what fits my thesis statement. Because I used an enthymeme, I already have 3 main ideas that I know I want to hit. So I'm going to put those on my outline, and I'm going to see how these things fit there. So on your outline, start by writing the thesis. I don't have a lot of space, so I'm just going to write thesis, but you actually need to type it out. So, thesis. goes at the top of your outline. Next, I'm going to list the body paragraphs. And I'm going to have 3 of them. When I'm looking at my brainstorming, I can see that escape and saving Gabe go together. And I see that the sled and the going down to a community, which in the first book is kind of ambiguous. Are they going to a community or is he actually dying? It can be interpreted both ways. So I'm going to draw circles so I can identify that those two go together. And then I have memories returning to people and acceptance. I think acceptance could probably go with several of the topics. So I'm going to do memories returning to people as its own thing. I'm going to draw a triangle. And I'm going to say acceptance goes with both responsibility for Gabe. It goes with accepting that he has done all he can do and sliding down the hill. And it goes with letting go of memories. So I'm actually just going to underline acceptance and make that a common theme. So over here, I'm going to switch sides. So you see I've chosen the ideas that go well together, and I'm going to combine them and write them out like this. So I'm going to write my topic sentence, and I am going to say Jonas accepts responsibility for Gabe. And right away, I've already marked it. So I can say A, talk about Gabe's situation, and B, escaping. And since I'm tying it back into the whole of the novel, I'm going to say that the escape is also him giving responsibility back to the people. And I'm going to write a 1. For the second point, I think I want to talk about memories returning to the people, which also ties in well to this point. So, as Jonas travels, the memories he carries return to the people. Okay. Under this, for textual support, there are a lot of examples of specific memories that he has that he's been carrying fading. So I'm going to say that his memories are fading, and I'm going to say that that means that he is no longer morally responsible for others, but only for himself. Third, I have the sled and going down the hill to a community or death, however you interpret the text. So I have written topic sentence, in the end Jonas lets go and slides down the hill to meet his fate. And I'm going to say, for textual support, I have the sled, and I have accepting that he has done everything that he can do. So, what you see on this outline, I have topic sentences. The topic sentence is the first sentence of each body paragraph. So you're in a pretty good spot if you have 3 topic sentences. Jonas accepts, there needs to be an S, responsibility for Gabe. And you have left off letters. He and Gabe escape, which eventually returns responsibility to other people. So I might decide that responsibility is the key word there, and I might revise this topic sentence when I'm actually writing it. As Jonas travels, the memories he carries return to the people. And there's clear textual support for this. The memories fade, and he, by giving up the memories, is no longer morally responsible for the community. He becomes responsible for himself and Gabe. And then, topic sentence number 3, in the end, Jonas lets go and slides down the hill to meet his fate. If you have not read more than the first book, it's not clear whether he is literally sliding down a hill to a community or whether that is a type of death. You don't know. But what you do know is it's an acceptance by Jonas of what is happening, that he has done as much as he possibly can. So this is what I have here. I think this is a pretty good outline to start with. Obviously, I'm going to want to make revisions. Just keep in mind that everything can be revised, rewritten. Clearly, this is imperfect, but it's a process. Also, clearly, I have more practice at this than any of you. So if this is not something you can come up with in 10 minutes, don't worry about it. This is just to show you the process of how to do it. An introduction is like an upside-down triangle. It starts with broad information and narrows down to the thesis statement. Most teachers will tell you to start with a hook, which would be up here. A hook is an interesting fact or quote that introduces the topic and catches the reader's interest. From there, you write towards your thesis. So your thesis is down here. And as we discussed, it's like a funnel, right? So your thesis is the narrowest part of the triangle. The hook is the broadest. Everything you say in your essay should be in your introduction in seed form. This means you should introduce your main supporting ideas with 1 or 2 sentences. Also include any background information your reader will need to understand what you are talking about. Each body paragraph starts with a topic sentence, which you should have at least a draft of from your outline. A topic sentence is like a mini thesis. It has the same function as a thesis, but for the paragraph instead of the whole essay. It also must connect directly to your thesis. And then you use specific information to support your topic sentence. Follow your outline and flesh it out by explaining more than you think is necessary. Your conclusion is structurally opposite of your introduction. Start by restating the thesis. So your restated thesis is right there at the narrowest part. Then summarize and tie up the whole essay. But the conclusion can do more than that. It is also a chance to open up the issue for further conversation and a call to action. So that would be here at the end. You can further conversation, call to action. You are opening it up to the world. This step is probably easier to show than explain. I have highlighted each paragraph in a different color, so it's easier to see when I move things around and add more to them. Formatting is not difficult, but it's picky, and it's hard if you don't know how to do it. My best advice is to play around with Word and see what you can do, but I'm also going to show you the basics. Word lets you permanently preset your settings. I'm going to show you where to change the settings and also where you can permanently save them so they are automatically set when you open Word. MLA has specific requirements. Here's what you do. First, highlight your text so that all changes are automatically applied. The shortcut is Ctrl-A if you're on a PC and Command-A on a Mac. Start on the Home tab in the Font tab. In the drop-down menu, choose Times New Roman. Set the font size to 12. Now, no matter what version of Word you have, you should be able to open all these options in a box. After you have set them, press Default. Now these settings are permanent. Now go over to the Paragraph tab. First, make sure your text is left-oriented. Then make sure your paragraphs are double-spaced. Again, set these as default. Next, go to the Page Layout tab. In the Paragraph box, make sure all the boxes are at 0. Otherwise, extra spaces will be added before and after you start a new paragraph. Set as default. Under the same tab, go to Margins and make sure your margins are 1 inch all around. Your heading is also left-oriented, so you don't need to change anything there. Your title goes after your heading, right above your text. Highlight it and go to Home, Paragraph, then center it. Each paragraph must have the first line indented. To do this, simply press the Tab button on the keyboard. Finally, this is how you create a header. Click the Insert tab. In the Header and Footer box, go to the Page Number options. Choose the one on the top right corner. Double-click in front of the page number. You will now be able to type your last name. The last name with the page number will automatically appear on every page. If you have a cover page and don't want a header on the first page, find the box that says Different First Page and check it. So you might be wondering why this is a bonus section. Well, the fact is that writing a research paper involves reading a bunch of research articles, annotating, pulling facts and quotes, etc. I do want to show that process, but it's not something that's easy to do in one shot, so I wanted to start with a simpler prompt this time around. However, I also want to make sure that you all know the basics of how to conduct research, because this is not an easy process for everyone. I'm going to start by talking about the kind of article you should look for, a credible article. As you know, not everything you find on the internet is reliable, and so you can't choose just any article. What makes an article credible? Well, here are some questions to ask. Who is the author? The author should be someone who is an expert in the field. A random person with a blog is not necessarily an expert. A person published in an academic journal is. Who is the publisher? The publisher should be an organization or magazine that is run by experts in the field. You're not expected to know who each publisher is, but if they are credible, it should be easy to find information about them. Be cautious of parent websites. A parent website is a website or group that owns the information published on another website. For example, if you find an article stating that ocean pollution is at an all-time low, and the article was published by a group affiliated with an organization known for overpollution, that article might lack credibility. .edu, .gov, and .org sites are always preferable to .com sites, as they have clear legal affiliation with educational institutions or the government. What are the author sources? A credible author will tell you where his or her information comes from, which is incidentally why you have to cite your sources. If your source does not cite its sources, you should be suspicious about the reliability. What is the general appearance? Appearance is not everything, but peer-reviewed articles have gone through a thorough editing process and will look somewhat polished. At the very least, there should not be significant spelling errors. What is the bias? Some articles are expected to have a slant. For example, if I am reading a news article from a site that I know has a certain political opinion, I expect there to be some bias. However, the majority of your sources should be as neutral as possible. The reality is that very little in this world is completely unbiased, and often that bias is unintentional or is the result of cultural or social bias. It is important to be wary when reading and to analyze the perspective that each piece of writing comes from and what possible biases might be in effect. Business websites can look very professional and credible, but never forget that the goal of the website is to sell you a product. Does the information on this site seem reasonable? This is not a fail-safe measure because you have your own biases, but common sense is one of your tools. Does this information match other sources of information on the issue? Does it make any sense? What about books, you might ask? The same checks apply to books and any printed sources. You shouldn't assume anything printed is true any more than you should assume anything on the internet is true. There's something to be said for printed sources, and libraries are a really wonderful thing. If you are conducting research at a library, you have several choices. 1. Browse and hope you run into something useful. If you know your library well, this could work. 2. Look up your topic in the library index and find the correct section. In this digital age, this is much simpler than it sounds. You can research keywords online and it will give you the index number. You can also pre-order the books you want and pick them up at the front desk. 3. Ask a librarian. We shouldn't be fearful of asking for help, and librarians are research experts. If you are not sure where to start, they can help you. They can also give you pointers about online research. Use your local experts. Now, if you spend a lot of time on the internet, you probably know how to find information. However, with a little more knowledge, you can find better information. Considering how much people use Google, it's surprising how few people understand how Google works. Knowledge is power, and in this case, understanding how Google works will help you make your searches better. Google is a search engine that comes up with options for the words you've typed in based on an algorithm. There's no one on the other side answering your questions. This is not bad. It's a very sophisticated algorithm. Here's what you should know. If you are not finding good sources, you can change the word combination you are searching. Try using synonyms and you may come up with different results. Google lets you specify the type of site you are looking for. If you go to Settings, Advanced Search, there are all sorts of fun options, including domain, i.e. .org, .edu, or .gov. Google Scholar, which you can find by typing Google Scholar into Google, is a sub-site that will search only scholarly articles. A lot of the best articles are on databases that have to be paid for, which is unfortunate, but also provides funding for the people who write these articles to keep writing them. The good news is that there are databases, for example university library databases, that pay for these articles. If you have access to a university database, that's great. If you don't, the good news is that your local library probably has a database of online sources. I'm going to give Wikipedia some special attention. First of all, don't use Wikipedia as a source. Wikipedia allows anyone to contribute and edit an article. And while most articles are edited by enough people that they are mostly accurate, there's no actual guarantee. However, if you scroll to the bottom of the page, you should see a list of sources. This can be a great starting place for your research. If you are writing a research paper, it can be very tempting to organize the paper based on sources. In other words, to write one paragraph per source, basically summarizing what the source says. This is not the goal of using a source. Instead, identify similar ideas exactly the same way you would if you were just working off a brainstorming list. Do not start writing your paper and simply adopt the organization of the text you are working with. The purpose of a research paper is synthesis, not summary. Instead, take notes on the article and then approach your notes the same way you did your brainstorming list. Find the ideas that go together and organize your paragraphs based on the ideas. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, please send us a message or reach out to your teacher.